GM. Welcome back to the second part of the two-part series. I don't know, I've fully lost track of what we're doing here. I guess this is part 3. Welcome back. This is an episode where Jon and I just break down what is happening with Yuga Labs right now and their lawsuit against Ryder Rips and the Ryder Rips Bored Ape Yacht Club and the accusations going around about them being Nazis. And we give all of our thoughts. I get a little heated, so forgive me, and let me know what you think on Twitter. I know lots of you have comments.
There is a brand new staking feature in the Ledger Live app today. We all like staking the assets that we're bullish on, and now you can stake 7 different coins inside the Ledger Live app. Cosmos, Polkadot, Tron, Algorand, Tezos, Solana, and of course Ethereum. With Ledger Live, you can take money from your bank account, buy your most bullish crypto asset, and stake that asset to its network, all inside the Ledger Live app. Through a partnership with Figment, Ledger also lets you choose which validator you want to stake your assets with. And Ledger is running its own validating nodes, offering a convenient way to participate in network validation, and it even comes with slashing insurance. Ledger Live is truly becoming the battle station for the bankless world, so go download Ledger Live. If you have a Ledger already, you probably already have it, and get started securely staking your crypto assets. Did you know that you can buy crypto directly on almost any blockchain using MetaMask? We all use MetaMask on Ethereum, but did you know you can buy all the popular assets across all the popular chains straight from the MetaMask mobile wallet? Did you know that you could do this from over 260 available regions? So now you know that MetaMask helps you buy over 90 cryptocurrencies using bank cards, credit cards, Apple Pay, Google Pay, for whenever you need some quick crypto, whether you're stranded without gas, or you just need that NFT, or you want to tinker with some new application. MetaMask saves you time and gas costs by buying your favorite crypto asset straight from the mobile wallet. So check it out at metamask.io/buy-crypto.
The Yuga Labs saga. There's maybe 3 things to talk about here. There is other side, actually. They made this big other side announcement. So if we're talking about Yuga Labs, I feel like we have to just address the fact that on, I believe it's July 16th, July 19th, they've said that the first look at the other side metaverse game, I guess, that they're building out is going to be revealed. They said the journey will begin. The first part of the journey begins. So they're moving ahead. Want to just start with that. I don't think too much has to be said there. Then the other 2 pieces are this Ryder Rips, Philion, Bored Ape Nazi Club YouTube video and those allegations, and then the lawsuit, which is connected to those allegations, though actually also somewhat separate. So I know you are going to do a phenomenal job really talking us through this lawsuit. I would like to give my 2 cents on this YouTube video. Do you want to kick us off, or do you want me to rant to you about this YouTube video?
I'll kick us off because I know you have a lot of thoughts on the YouTube video specifically. So, and we are very much guilty of burying the lead when it comes to Yuga in the last recap podcast we did, because it was the big news coming in beginning the week, timed perfectly on the Sunday night before the event began. So what happened was a YouTuber going by the handle of Philion posted a video essentially documenting all of the ways in which Yuga Labs' Bored Apes could be inspired by or dog whistling, and that's the key word here is dog whistling, to white supremacist groups, Aryan Brotherhood type groups. And all of the research was based on a website that Ryder Rips had created called Gordon Goner. I think it was gordongoner.com. Even though Philion does claim, and Ryder Rips has tweeted this out, that there's no affiliation between the 2 whatsoever. It's just one created the research, quote unquote research, and the other created a documentary inspired by that research. It kind of started NFT NYC off with some explosive allegations. And I'll kind of wrap my part of this up is saying that when I first watched it, and this was coming right off of the scandal, and I'll call it a scandal, of what happened with the announcement of Nathan to become the brand lead for CryptoPunks. So what happened was Yuga Labs had announced that they were going to bring on a brand lead.
Noah Davis.
Noah Davis, sorry. Yeah, thank you for correcting me on that. So there was some insider trading that we talked about that in our recap episode. So they had that scandal, and right on the heels of that, this documentary gets posted. So it was kind of a bad week for Yuga to begin with. My initial take, because I was already in a bad mindset around Yuga when I saw it, was like, wow, they really got something here. They got them. And as I spent some more time sitting with it and thinking about it, a lot of holes began to kind of come in my mind about what is this? It's really stretching a lot of similarities, a lot of innuendo. So I began to really doubt it at that point, but I was not in the best Yuga mindset when the week began, when this hit. So what was your take on it?
I think this is such horseshit. I think you set this up well because you were like, it's alleging their Aryan Brotherhood and Nazi and white supremacists. And the point is, like, they are pulling from the canon of all evil things to say that Bored Apes has a similarity to that. And I think that there was an Input magazine article that covered this actually like from like a month ago or a couple months ago, not even in this most recent Philion episode. And they interviewed somebody who's with the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, right, which is a big, anti-Semitism group, and, like tracks hate groups, and is really, this is what they do professionally, is to monitor these things. And he put it really well, the guy they interviewed in this article. I'm going to pull this quote up. He said, if you're an extremist, you have a set ideology. You don't dabble in different kinds. And that's the thing that's so strange is they're just like, oh, well, they're referencing this random number that means something to this hate group. And they reference this thing that could be the year that somebody was in a Nazi prison. So I'm like, I've gone crazy, and I watched the video and was like, this seems ridiculous to me and like complete horseshit. And then I rewatched the video and took notes on every allegation they made. And every time it's like they're like, oh, they use guanon and macaca or whatever. Like they use two monkeys, and these monkeys get brought up in, 4chan. And you're like, if you Google any monkey, if you search 4chan for any monkey name, like it's used in a racist way. Like they don't think about, it's like the number, they use the number, I forget the number 14, or there's 18 teeth in the Bored Ape thing. And you're like, if you like, there's so many numbers that actually, I was looking up like what are the numbers that have like racist symbolism, and it's like 88, and it's 14, and it's 311, and it's 37. Like again, you could find this for so many things. And the cowabunga, I mean, the most ridiculous one to me was they were like, one of the founders' girlfriends had cowabunga in her Instagram handle, and this was one of the ones that Yuga Labs addressed directly. Like, she's Mexican American and she likes Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, cowabunga is just an expression that people use. And I mean, there was even one, the Anti-Defamation League guy was like, I literally had to Google this reference. It was which one was it? There was like some reference that they were like, this is a common, the Kali Yuga, the surfing, the Kali Yuga. Oh, yeah. They were like, oh, that's a common, that's like this common alt-right thing. And the ADL guy was like, I have studied white supremacy for 27 years and I had to like look this up. This is not like a super common reference. They were like, ape hands is a reference to some French king who would chop off the hands of Congolese, and I'm like, Belgium. And then you Google, I searched ape hands in 4chan. Nothing like that comes up. Like, so this is like some crowd-funded knowledge pool. Again, they're drawing on the canon of all evil things that have ever happened. So you have some person out there who happens to know that ape hands were what Belgians chopped off Congolese hands. And it's like, that's what they're referencing here. And I honestly find the thing completely absurd. Yeah. Now, here's the only compelling pieces of evidence, in my opinion. I think it's been a big miss on Yuga Labs' part that they haven't just come out and denounced white supremacy and Nazism. Like, that just feels like an unforced error. I don't believe they're white supremacists or Nazis at all. I don't believe they've taken inspiration from white supremacists or Nazis at all. They've come out with their own statement calling it absurd in a couple different ways and kind of debunking some of this. But I do think it's like, just denounce it. I don't need you to apologize because I don't think they have anything to apologize for. And I don't need that headline. Like, they apologize for their accidentally racist imagery. But I do need them to, I would like them to like, just like be like, we absolutely denounce Nazism and white supremacy in all ways. And not doing that feels weird. And I also think some of their traits are like cringy and weird and probably just in and of themselves shouldn't exist. And I don't know to what extent to put that at the feet of the founders and to what extent to put that at the feet of designers, because they worked with design partners to create these traits. Now, of course, they had final say, but clearly there are some traits like the Japanese like headband and some of like the fez, like some of these things I think are
the Prussian hat.
It's icky.
I have a couple of things there. First of all, Philion, who created this video, this video starts off with, "You don't know 4chan. I know 4chan. Trust me on this because I know 4chan and you don't. This is true." And no. Yes, you're right. I don't know 4chan. I've not been on 4chan. I don't care to ever be on 4chan. But just because you've been on it doesn't mean that you're the expert on kind of this kind of content in that space. And there's a lot of other people who monitor that site and watch this. So they would have spoken up. The other part about this, I want to go back to your point about the comment, the response from the Yuga Labs team. And Daniel Tenner, who goes by the handle of Swambat on Twitter, had a good tweet thread about how should they respond. And coincidentally, he published his tweet thread like hours before Yuga actually did. And what he came back with was really two things. One was they should make a strong statement renouncing it. Now, normally with something like this, you would say, we're not even going to justify this with a response. But I do think they needed to create a very strongly worded, short, it can even be one paragraph statement of just, we absolutely denounce this, we resent it, we would never do that, period. So they did make their statement. It was written by Wylie Aronow. It wasn't quite as strong as what I would have liked. It was a bit more of a, let's go through the points that they've raised and we're going to go through and give you evidence to refute all of them. But it wasn't.
But they didn't refute all of them. They didn't do a comprehensive refutation, which is why I was like, I agree. I thought their statement was a little weak, but.
And they need that one paragraph, just, we absolutely denounce it. And then once they have that paragraph out there, they can always refer to it in the future. Just saying, we've talked about this. Here's our statement.
Absolutely. So I agree. I totally agree that was a miss. Again, as somebody who completely in absolutely no way thinks that any of this is even a little bit legitimate. Also, if you want the other conspiracy theory, Ryder Rips did post somewhat recently that he said, "You can read my senior thesis from 2008 if you like. It's about how in the future people will only respond to lowest common denominator clickbait because they won't read or look into anything. So anyone will be able to get famous online by just marketing garbage like this." And he was responding to a racist thing. But the irony is that's like almost feels like his playbook is people aren't going to look deeper at the flimsiness of his allegations. Right. So all they're going to see are the headline and you're going to be able to manufacture. I'm like, I think he's the troll. They're using 4chan tactics. Like this is a big troll on their part that they know is bullshit that they're perpetrating for fame. And because this is his playbook, he does this like kind of viral online marketing stuff. So that's my conspiracy theory. Yeah. Back at you, Ryder.
Well, it's a good segue because I guess the question is, what was Ryder Rips doing in terms of creating the source content that inspired this video, and what was his goal and accomplishment? Was he trolling them? Was he looking to make just a bigger statement about culture? Was this a scam? These questions are out there, and part of this is going to come out in a process because Yuga has filed a lawsuit against Ryder Rips. Jeremy Kayan, I think is how you pronounce his name, also known as Poly0x on Twitter, and 10 John Does who have not yet been identified. And they responded with a left hand, right hand kind of punch. I like their response. I think they should legally protect themselves. And now, to be clear, just to start setting this next part up, they're not suing about the content of that video or of the website that inspired the video. They're not suing over allegations of racism and Nazism. They're not suing, they're not claiming libel, though, obviously they think it's lies. It's not about that. Exactly. They're suing about trademarks. And so what Ryder Rips did and his team, they created a collection identical to the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So the apes, ape 3, 5, 6, whatever. And they minted a collection of 5 of the 10,000 that were identical in every way. They outright copied it. Now, this is where we're going to get into some of the semantics here because it's important and really going to be an important case. So a number of people incoming, this is going to be a groundbreaking case in NFTs if it goes to court. And I fully agree. I'm really excited to see how this plays out because it is potentially going to set precedent for the space. And we're going to learn a lot through this process. So if it does get to court, it's going to be, I can already see Supermassive from the Defiant, broadcasting live from the federal courthouse in LA, NFT court TV style.
I will be there right next to him. I embrace the opportunity to become a courtroom reporter. Yeah. I'm ready.
You and I will be like the live. Yeah, I'll be there with you, and we'll live podcast after each day of court. It's kind of like Elizabeth Holmes when she was on trial.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, The Dropout and Bad Blood. Yeah.
Oh, we could publish a book. We could get a series on Hulu about the Bored Ape Ryder Rips thing.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm in. Let's do it.
Well,
we'll talk after this.
Neil Strauss is writing a book about bored apes. He came up in the Philion video. We'll offline. Continue.
So they're setting this up for a trademark violation because what Ryder Rips did is he copied 5,000 of the apes and minted them under the Ryder Rips Bored Ape Yacht Club collection title on OpenSea and other marketplaces. And he got 5,000 of them done. They were each minted one by one, quote by hand, and that's going to become important in a second. And eventually they were taken down. I'm assuming Yuga Labs put in complaints to the marketplaces, and these were taken down. But the suit is about trademark violations, about the copying of the collection and crimes or misdeeds that are attributed to the copying of that. And so there's a lot there. Now, so let's begin if we want to talk about kind of who Yuga Labs is engaging. So they've hired a law firm out of San Francisco, Mountain View, called Fenwick & West. They're definitely a big, high-profile, tech-oriented law firm. They hired it. The lead attorney is Eric Ball, who has represented Peloton, Twitter, Uber, Intel, Google, Facebook, and many others. So, and his quote-unquote is trademark litigation partner. So probably a boring area of law, but a very interesting area of law in our case here is trademark litigation, which tells you that they do intend to litigate this case. And the case is being filed in the district in Central California, which covers the Los Angeles region. It's probably why they hired a California law firm. And this is a federal trial because of interstate commerce matters. So it's being set in the federal system, legal system.
You mentioned these 10 John Does. They're filing it against Jeremy, who is Ryder Rips' partner essentially in this. Explain to us, we don't know who specifically by name these 10 John Does are, but why they're defendants in this case.
Correct. There's and they're broken into two groups: Does 1 through 5 and Does 6 through 10. And there's a distinction between the two groups. Does 1 through 5 are other partners in the project, help to set it up, help to create the collections, help to manage it. They don't know who those identities are yet. And I wonder if 1 through 5 isn't the exact number, if it's just a placeholder number. It could be 1 through 3 or 1 through 10. But there's that first group of Does who were active participants with Ryder and Jeremy. The other Does, 6 through 10, are individuals who purchased NFTs through the collection, through the Ryder Rips collection, and then promoted their NFTs as being authentic Bored Ape Yuga Labs NFTs. So it's essentially false kind of stealing of their brand and their credibility for their own use and purposes. So that's why there's two distinctions. And in the court case, there's 11 causes of action. So the lawyers for Yuga are saying that there's been 11 different examples of misdeeds here. And Does 6 through 10 are not named in all 11. They're only named in like 3 or 4 of them. Whereas Does 1 through 5, Jeremy and Ryder are named in all of the 11 cases for action.
Immutable X is the layer 2 platform for crypto gaming. Immutable offers massive scalability with up to 9,000 transactions per second and instant transaction confirmation. No more gas fees, no more waiting around for your transaction to clear. Immutable's zero knowledge rollup finally unlocks the world of crypto gaming. Immutable X is the only gas-free NFT minting platform with over 26 million NFTs minted, all with zero gas fees. With the power of Immutable, gaming developers don't also need to become smart contract developers. They just need to plug in to Immutable's API and instantly start unlocking the full potential of crypto assets inside of games. This is why world-class companies and projects have decided to deploy on Immutable X, like GameStop, Ember Sword, Planet Quest, Illuvium, TikTok, and many more behind the scenes. So start building your game on Immutable X today at immutable.com. COINSHIFT is a leading treasury management and infrastructure platform for DAOs and crypto businesses who need to manage their treasury operations. Every crypto org needs to manage their treasury, and COINSHIFT offers a simple, flexible, and efficient multi-chain treasury management platform built on top of the extremely secure Gnosis Safe. With COINSHIFT, your organization can go from primitive single-chain treasuries to expressive, flexible, multi-chain features such as global user management, global contracts, proposal management, and many other features that can be shared across an entire organization. COINSHIFT layers on powerful treasury management tools on top of the proven security of Gnosis Safe, allowing users to save time and reduce operational burdens and gas costs. COINSHIFT even has data tools like account reporting across the 7 chains on which it operates. Used by industry powerhouses such as Uniswap Grants, Balancer, Consensus, and Messari, COINSHIFT is speeding up the coordination and efficiency of the organizations that use it. In DeFi, you have to keep up with the frontier, and COINSHIFT makes that easy. So sign up at coinshift.xyz/bankless.
And so what is Yuga asking for here? What are they hoping to achieve from this lawsuit by what they're hoping is by jury?
Yep. So they are asking for a jury trial, and that tells me that they want the public visuals of this. They want the attention. They want to make a statement. They wouldn't hire this law firm, this attorney, go to this trouble unless they intend to see it through, which is why a lot of people online were saying, oh, this is a joke, they'll never see it through. And I don't see it that way. I think if they've gone to this level, they intend to go to see it in court. They want their day in court. They want this all brought out, and they want to end this from ever happening again. You know, if you stand up to a bully, I'll just say, if you don't stand up to a bully when they're in your face, they're going to come back again. So this is now standing up to people they perceive as bullying them. And what they're asking for is a number of things. They're asking for a court order against Ryder Ripson defendants to stop. Just stop. You can't do anything with anything Bored Ape, period. It's an all stop. Second, they want the destruction of all infringing matter. And that's kind of an interesting one, because how do you destroy a digital piece of art? You could delete the collection off of OpenSea, which they've already done. So how is that done? And there has to be a written report as to how they did it that accompanies that step. Third, they want the withdrawal of all applications for trademarks. So that sounds like Ryder Rips has made applications for Ryder Rips Bored Ape Yacht Club trademarks. So they want those withdrawn. Fourth, they want a financial judgment in the amount of Yuga's damages to be determined in court what those actual damages are, plus all of Ryder Rip's profits, plus Yuga's legal fees and costs. And finally, they want a judgment for enhanced and punitive damages. So they want a punishment judgment as well.
They want money. They want money to punish them for having done this in the first place.
I was going to say, this is a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. We already know that Ryder Rips made several $1 million on this collection. So this is and the legal fees are going to be astronomical for this kind of a law firm to represent them. So this is going to be a huge judgment if they win it.
This is so much bigger than just this case. And I think it is. It's interesting that it's this case because it's gotten so high profile because of the salacious nature of the accusations and the kind of horrendousness of the accusations. But what we're really talking about here is, can you copy an NFT? And the people in the Ryder Rips camp seem to have this rallying cry, which is you can't copy an NFT because of the provenance piece and because of the blockchain piece. And you can go and they each have a unique identifier. That's what makes them non-fungible. And so they are claiming you cannot copy an NFT because of that. And that's a fundamental property of the blockchain. Semantically speaking, of course, they're right. And of course, the fact that you can't copy an NFT is why the right-click save people don't have an argument. Because fundamentally, taking a picture of the Mona Lisa doesn't mean you have the Mona Lisa. But on a regulatory level, I completely support projects being able to go after projects like this that are copying their works. I mean, you're seeing this problem with artists, right? Where people are minting other artists' work and then pushing them out as if they were the artist's work. And I'm very in support of artists being able to protect what is theirs, not because you can't technically go and see the distinction and see the difference, but because we need to get rid of spam and scam in this space. And there are going to be newcomers who are going to come in and see the wrong Bored Ape and purchase it and think it's real and get confused. And Ryder saying, oh, we've taken every precaution, so you're not confused. You don't think this is a real Bored Ape, blah, 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 blah. I'm not buying it. I think as a precedent, you absolutely need to be able to protect your intellectual property if you're a project that creates distinct art. And I love the provenance piece of the blockchain. I think that's why this makes them collectible. I still think you should be allowed to sue and go after folks who copy your work.
Yeah. I the way I see it is like their argument is that because the code behind every NFT is unique in the token, that copying an NFT the artwork might look the same, but the code in the token is different because there can only be one token. And so it's saying what matters here. Is it the token, the uniqueness of the token, or is it the uniqueness of the visual that represents the token? And I have a feeling they're on a losing side of this argument in the current court system. And Jeremy has put out some tweets about we're fighting for the art, we're trying to change copyright law. You don't change copyright law with a lawsuit. Legislation changes copyright law, and judicial judgments change copyright law based on that legislation. So you're not going to be winning.
Yeah, lawsuits go on precedent.
Exactly. So you're on the losing side of that argument. It doesn't mean that it's not worth fighting for if it's important, but you should be talking to your Congress lady or your congressman, not Yuga Labs' attorneys to try to get copyright law changed.
This is not a legal opinion here that I'm about to provide, but like it's about what are you fundamentally, right? If you're not fundamentally an art first project, right? Like if what you are is a protocol and it's about the smart contract and the code, then sure, I'm open to that concept. But if you're talking about something that is first and foremost about the visual and not about the smart contract code, I just don't buy that. And I think Ryder Ripps is full of shit. And I think he is, I get his career has been about pushing boundaries, but I think these are areas that the space will benefit from some more Web 2 style regulation. I really do. I love the ethos of Web 3, and this to me does not infringe upon decentralization on any of the ways that it really fundamentally matters. And what it does, if this whole space is about empowering creators, this is a tool that's going to be in the arsenal of creators to keep them empowered, right? Like this is good for the creator class that we are so concerned with here in this space, because it gives them instruments to protect themselves from people trying to profit off of their work. So I look forward to this. Is there a piece we should be talking about or thinking about here when it comes to the fact that individual Bored Ape holders have rights over their apes? And it's not just, Yuga Labs can initiate this, but the holders have rights as well. I know Jim McNeil has already made a joke about seemingly that he is going to sue Ryder Ripps because Ryder Ripps' profile picture is literally Jimmy's ape. So what should we be thinking about when it comes to that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. In fact, I did not know that Ryder Ripps' PFP is Jimmy's ape. That's interesting. So there is this is one of the things that makes this fascinating, is that we have for the first time art that the owners have some commercial rights in. Jimmy is creating what's the band called again? Kinship. He's leveraging the commercial interest in his apes and creating an entertainment product with that. And so this is the first time that this is Yuga suing on behalf of their own behalf, but not on behalf of their owners. But the question is, can Jimmy sue, or could any Bored Ape owner sue for lost economic opportunity around their ape because of the actions that Ryder Ripps took? I have to believe the answer is yes. I believe that this damaged or could have damaged the economic opportunities for those individual ape owners. So the folks I do some advising with, they launched their IP marketplace a few weeks ago, which is now actively putting deals together for ape owners and World of Women and commercial partners. And do those deals have less value, less potential as a result of this? And I believe the answer is yes. At the very least, they can make a claim that the Yuga brands have been diminished in some way, it makes their apes a little bit less valuable with this halo, kind of this cloud of controversy hanging over their heads. And if this turns out that Ryder is found liable in the Yuga suit, could there be a class action on behalf of those 5,000 apes that were minted by Ryder for the diminished economic opportunity? And I think the answer is yes.
This is a dumb question I'm about to ask, but that's what we're about here, is getting to the truth. What rights does Yuga have over these individual apes that allows them to sue Ryder as opposed to the individual holders being the ones to sue Ryder?
They're not suing about the individual apes that were minted by Ryder.
Trademark?
It's the trademarks. So they're suing for the misuse and quote unquote tortious interference of their trademarks.
And
so
what are literally, it's literally Yuga Lab or Bored Ape Yacht Club, the name?
This is where it gets a little bit messy. So
Okay.
Yuga has multiple trademark applications pending. They've actually not yet been granted any trademarks officially yet, but the applications are pending. They've been pending for over a year. That's not unusual. It takes a long time for the trademark office to process. One or two of them have been sent back with follow-up questions. That also is not unusual. I've had to submit a lot of trademarks and had those back and forth with the trademark office. I do believe trademarks are still enforceable while they are in a application process. It just, if the application is rejected, then you can't make a claim that you own that trademark. So, but I believe that they're still enforceable. So Yuga's within their rights to do this. The other thing that's interesting about the trademarks that Yuga has, which are specifically around the skull with the kind of the black circular
The
outline.
18 teeth.
Yep, the 18 teeth. I think around the BAYC tag, and then they have multiple versions of that. So it's around their brands and their logos is where this suit is coming, and that's kind of where they're basing it. What's interesting about what Yuga's filed for trademark applications is that you can tell that they came into this when they created the collection without much of a trademark strategy, because they filed their first trademark application a month after the minting. So this is like May of last year. They minted, I think, in April. So like a month later. So
April 30th, Hitler's death date, which they brought up as if that meant something. Don't get me started.
Yeah.
They also didn't mint on April 30th. They minted before, and the New Yorker journalist apparently got that wrong and printed it as being April 30th. And then in the Philion video, Philion phrases it like they made a point to tell the New Yorker that their mint was on April 30th, which is complete editorializing because he has no idea if Bored Apes actively told them to call it April 30th or not. And Bored Apes is claiming, no, we didn't tell her it was April 30th. She just made a mistake. So anyway, but just, sorry, not to derail us.
You're still stuck on the video, Carly. I'm moving on to the
Deep
lawsuit.
down the rabbit hole. I've watched so many hours of this video. I literally have like point by point dissected it, which I'm not going to bore people with. Continue, please, Jon.
So I was saying that they didn't seem to have much of a strategy. This is one of the curiosities that came out of the suit, which is the filing, which they didn't seem to have much of a strategy around trademarks because they have submitted trademark applications on maybe 7 or 8 different dates in the last 18 months. And I believe each time they've gone back with new trademark applications, it's been to add categories of, digital downloads, digital games. So I think they have to keep going back to add new categories. So they're probably keeping their trademark lawyer pretty happy right now.
Busy.
Yeah. So that was one of the curiosities that came out of this, is that how they've approached their trademark applications. But those applications are valid, they are pending, and that's what this suit is about. Those trademarks.
So Bored Apes, so Yuga Labs is suing them about the trademarks, and so could we see like a class action lawsuit comprised of a whole bunch of holders who are suing Ryder for commercial use of those apes specifically? That's what you alluded to earlier. The answer seems to be yes. And could that be like a class action, like they all join together because they're all aggrieved similarly?
Yeah, well, there's 2 different groups here. There's the group of the 5,000 that were minted out of the 10,000. So that's one group that has a certain kind of claim. Then there's the whole group of 10,000 who could be part of a class that say, hey, we had economic interest in these NFTs, and because of what you've done with these accusations, our economic interest is diminished. We don't have as much opportunity to monetize these characters, And so we want you to pay us to compensate us for that. So I think there are potential for class actions. I'm not a lawyer, so
Sure,
but
yeah.
I would certainly, if I were in this group, I'd be trying to rally people to join me. I'd be one of the people that'd be like, yeah, we're going to sue them. And I'd be trying to rally some of the folks to join me.
Totally.
To at least get some advice on that.
If I were an ape holder, I would similarly be doing that. Well, what's interesting, I can get all riled up about this. Fundamentally, I recognize it's a distraction and it's somewhat meaningless in the sense that it doesn't seem to have affected the price of Bored Apes at all. Now, they've, of course, fallen quite precipitously in the bear market generally, but this video had absolutely no impact on them. And, you have this just incredibly lame rallying cry at the end of the Philion video that's very like, let's go show these guys and stop listing your Bored Ape at a good price. And, the ape price is fine. The other other side metaverse land parcels are through the roof because of the announcement that they're going to do some sort of other side thing. So I will close with this and then I'll give your closing statement. What I seem to be seeing on Twitter, again, I think the prevailing sentiment is that this is dumb, but I do see people who seem to be like, there's something fishy here. And, again, I absolutely do. I think if you really dig into each of these accusations individually, like there's just so many alternatives available for any of the one individual like accusations. And they're so scattershot, these accusations. They're so non-coherent with one another. Like, again, like they're just like randomly evil dudes who just cherry pick weird random things that have evilly been done in history to make references to. It's just like, it's nonsensical in my opinion, if you really dig in. But I understand, the discomfort people feel, because obviously these are very serious accusations, and we don't want anything that feels even remotely like this in this space if you're a good person. And I also think Yuga Labs is so private and so kind of mysterious and such a black box. And I do think that Nicole Munoz, if I'm pronouncing that right, like does come across like a little awkward and like a little off in the interview she gave, which I actually do not see as an indictment of her. I see it as like, she's a little bit awkward, and people read into that. And so I'm sympathetic to people who feel that way. And I would say it feels like a Boo Radley situation or something, like, don't jump to the conclusion that someone is bad or that there's something kind of evil or nefarious going on just because there's something kind of quiet or mysterious or misunderstood about this group, which I share. I share a feeling of sort of like, who and what is Yuga Labs? And I've been critical of them before. I don't think they've executed at the level of praise and untouchableness that they sometimes get. Like, I actually think they've executed well, but that they're like not, I think Doodles has executed much better actually. So I understand that feeling, but I would really say don't leap to the conclusion that makes them neo-Nazis, because I really reject that.
Yeah, I'll wrap my kind of final statement by saying that, I mentioned that when I first watched this, because I was in a bad spot in terms of my feelings towards Yuga when it came out, that I was immediately like, wow, they got something here. Where I've kind of ended up with this is, no, this is not true. There's nothing valid here. If there's any criticism or thing that could be said about it from the Yuga's perspective, is that perhaps they didn't understand some of the semiotics around the art that they were creating, and certainly didn't take the care that maybe they should have to really understand what they had created better. But I'll put that to just being kind of new in the space in terms of launching collections and naivety, and maybe perhaps just a little bit of just not doing the full due diligence that they should have. But I don't believe that there's any validity to it. I don't believe that any of them are secretly 4chan, dog whistling to 4chan neo-Nazi types. It's not true.
All right, well, that concludes our Yuga Labs special, breaking down at least what we know so far about this lawsuit, about the Ryder Rips Bored Ape Yacht Club scandal in the first place. I'm going to be closely tracking this. I think this is precedent setting. I think it's fascinating. It is interesting to me, like tabloids are interesting, in that dark sort of watching a car crash kind of a way. And it's also interesting for me from a substantive, how will this space play out from a legal and regulatory perspective? So thank you for tuning in, Jon. Thank you so much, as always, for all of your amazing insight. And until next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Take care.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Overpriced JPEGs. If you liked this conversation, if you liked this episode, please go ahead and hit subscribe. It helps me out, it helps the show out, and it means you will get alerts and updates when we post new content. Thanks again.